So anyways, we are now officially recording.
Was this ringing when you came in?
No, it started ringing when I began to crank call you.
Oh, from here?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyways.
Oh, I didn't get a call from here. I got a call from your phone.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Not
the
from
thing.
this phone.
That is why I'm starting to get suspicious. So anyways, ladies and
Strange.
gentlemen, he is finally here, and
Yes,
we
I
can
am.
begin. So it is time to go to the place where men are men, and where gods walk the earth. That's right, the great wide world of Formula One racing.
Well done. Pitch one, pick up rubber. Awesome job. Unbelievable. We are world champions! World champions! Keep going
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. Formula One is going to be, well, we have a very, very busy show today. We've got China from last weekend. We've got Barhain coming up this weekend. And we have quite a few bits of news. So let us first begin with the big news. I can't do it. And the phone
Take
keeps
that off
ringing.
the hook. Just take that off the hook.
Well, alright, if he's nothing there, come on. You were just there in mid. Okay.
Where?
I don't know. I thought maybe you had it mid-ring and he would actually respond. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, ignoring the damn phone, last weekend was the Chinese Grand Prix. It was expected to be quite a vicious showdown. Now, first of all, it turns out everybody's making tech innovations since Australia. In fact, McLaren now have their own T-wing. They have this big loop on the rear of their car.
Ooh.
So.
Oh, wow.
Now,
That's something.
Indeed. Now, ladies and gentlemen, one thing we noticed was that Mercedes and Ferrari have these little T-wings, these little tiny wings on the back of their car in front of the main wing. Now, it turns out that now all the teams at least have decided that they were onto something, because we've seen McLaren have them, and quite a few other teams had them as well. We're not sure. From the Formula One website, in China, McLaren introduced their take on the 2017's most talked about aero appendage, the T-wing. Attached to the rear of the engine covers shark wings. The walking team solution is not dissimilar to Mercedes in that it features two horizontal profiles connected to each other and by a U section. It is a more distinctive shape, however, drew some interesting comparisons from F1 pundits, among them to the coat hanger on the TV aerial.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, science is at work. So here's what happened. It was a very fierce qualifying session. In fact, it was a very, very fierce fight between the two Ferraris and the two Mercedes. But ultimately, Lewis Hamilton would take pole position, smashing Michael Schumacher's record with a time of 1:31.678. Followed by Sebastian Vettel, Valtteri Bottas, and Kimi Raikkonen, and Daniel Ricciardo and Felipe Massa. Now, it was a bit of a wet start at the very beginning. Now, in fact, it was a very strange situation because, first of all, the final corner, it turns out, was eating cars.
Huh.
Primarily that of the current substitute driver at Sauber. What's his full name? Giovinazzi. I forgot his full name. But what happened was during the qualifying, he came around the corner, and then he was unwinding, but then he went just a little bit too far. He went onto the curbs,
He got some grass
caught a bit of
there.
the grass, and that completely upset the weight of the car, causing the rear to swing out. So it's a bit of understeer. So his tail swung further than it should have, and that sent him going straight into the inside wall, and that absolutely smashed the front of it.
That's for friggin' sure. Look at the wheel.
Yeah, as in the wheel has basically come off and is swinging freely as this thing just goes around. It's actually kind of troubling, I will say.
It's gotta be scary.
Indeed it is. And then, of course, it would happen again during the race, but hang on, I should skip
So
that.
wait, was that during qualifying?
That was during qualifying.
Oh, wow. So how many cars did we lose to that corner?
Giovinazzi would go out a second time during the actual race, so I think his Formula One career is finished now
I'd say
because he
so.
crashed twice in one weekend. So let us get through to the highlights now. Again, it was Lewis Hamilton on the first position, and then followed by Sebastian Vettel, who was next to him, but completely off the grid for some reason. He was not in the correct starting position. It's very strange. Like his grid, like he is at least a foot and a half to his left than he should be. So therefore, he's on the outside. And obviously, our buddy is doing some important work.
Oh, yes, that's the only reason I was late.
I see. I hope
Not
that we finish in time to actually partake in the show.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm almost done. I just need to submit this. That's the only reason I was late. I feel
Okay.
bad, but this class is killing me.
And we will talk more as time.
Yes, we will.
So the race kicks off, and again it was a wet start, so it was a very, very poor start for everybody. There was a slight bit of greasing on the track, as it were, and it was a very bad start. In fact, the fog kicked up almost instantly on the main straight. But ultimately, Lewis Hamilton managed to escape on the first outside corner, followed by Sebastian Vettel, and then it was a fierce fight with Valtteri Bottas. But then Max Verstappen crawled his way up. He gained so many positions, and there was a Renault that was very high up. And then, of course, Toto Wolff looked very pensive. And then, of course, we had a casualty very early on. Lance Stroll went off the track, beached it, and he was out of the race.
Oh, man.
He basically went too wide, got stuck in a sand pit. And that was Lance Stroll finish. So lap 2, we already have a virtual safety car. And what happened was he got tapped by a pink Force India.
Oh, man.
That must be humiliating.
And are those the wet tires he's on right there?
Yes, they're
Looks
the
like it.
intermediates.
Out of the race.
And that was Lance Stroll complaining that he's out of the race. And then everybody took this opportunity to get off of their intermediate tires and went onto the slicks. They decided that after one lap, the track was actually sufficiently dry enough to get off the intermediates and to go onto actual dry tires. Which must be very disturbing, because if you go on that main straight, there was just fog from all the rain getting kicked up. Because it wasn't raining, but it was a wet track.
I must say, this footage looks much better than what we're used to. Where are
Well,
we getting this from? Right
we're
from the
getting this
Formula One
from YouTube,
website?
actually.
Oh, YouTube?
Yeah,
wow.
and I've actually pressed the resolution up button. So and we just saw Max Verstappen go up, and Giovinazzi smashed out his front.
Oh, man.
That was lap 4, and that brought out the
That did not
safety
take him
car.
long. That's a shame.
Antonio Giovinazzi. So this guy is Italian, and he cannot drive worth a damn. That is
That's sad.
an oxymoron.
Oh, man. Look at that poor guy.
Yes, basically the front of his car has been completely smashed off, but he's getting out of the car, realizing this might be the last time he ever drives a Formula 1 car. And the car just came on loose. We're not sure what happened.
It looked like he might have just given it, I don't know, I heard it wind out, so maybe he just lost traction for some reason.
Yeah, we're not sure what exactly happened, but apparently there was so much debris on the track that they had to just reroute the cars into the safety pit lane. And again, under this safety car, more people came off of their intermediate tires and went straight for their full dries. And then Valtteri Bottas, however, spun his car out, trying to heat his tires up. And then he went onto the grass, and he lost a lot of positions. That must be humiliating to spin out during a safety car session. He spun out, and he lost many positions. But by lap 7, they were off again, racing under the great megastructure that exists over the main straights in China. And they get off the power again. Lewis Hamilton went away, and it was Daniel Ricciardo, followed by Kimi Raikkonen, Verstappen, and Sebastian Vettel. And in 6th position, Fernando Alonso! So he's actually getting some decent performance out of that. And as they raced on, there was an absolutely vicious fight between the Force India of Sergio Perez and the Williams of Felipe Massa. Why is he still doing this?
And these cars are shaking around a whole lot.
Yes, because I believe they're in a low downforce configuration, because some of these corners are maybe a bit flightier, and there's a long straight they want to take advantage of. And I think there might still be a bit of grease on the track. We're only 8 laps in. And then, of course, Sergio Perez took on Daniel Kvyat and passed, taking 8th position. And there was an absolutely vicious fight between who is this? Kimi Raikkonen and Jean-Eric. No, oh God, and Max Verstappen. Sorry, I have Jean-Eric Verne on my mind still. And it was actually a very fierce fight between Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen, but Verstappen passed and took a position. And then followed by a crash by one of the Toro Rossos went out. But Sebastian Vettel was not going to have it. He was going to take it to the Red Bulls. He passed his teammate Kimi Raikkonen, who was complaining about engine problems on one of the turns, which is very strange. We're not sure what it's about. He's probably just whining. But it's a very, very clean pass between Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen. Sebastian Vettel took his position, and then he was duking it out with the Red Bulls of Daniel Ricciardo. And like I said, this was actually a very, very tense part. Sebastian Vettel is at the moment riding the tail. And then he does a very brave maneuver and brakes on the outside, trying to pass. And then they're fighting for the next corner. Sebastian Vettel's on the outside, and he taps ever so slightly, kicking up a bit of tire smoke.
And that paid off.
Exactly.
It paid off.
Exactly.
He passed very smoothly.
Very smoothly, with the exception of that one tap. But like I said, it was a fierce fight. Sebastian Vettel done what is a miracle in Formula 1 by passing on the outside. Few people are able to do that.
He maneuvered that correctly. He hit that corner like I couldn't even imagine that.
Exactly. No, nor can I. The only passes I've ever done in my brief racing career at Bertel Roost School was always on the inside, always outbraking the opposition. And then Max Verstappen unfortunately had a bit of a brake lockup, and that forced him to overshoot, and that basically allowed Sebastian Vettel to just cut right in. And it looks like a drive shaft bump for Fernando Alonso. Then he was out of the race by lap 35. Why does that man even bother anymore? And then, of course, by lap 37, Lewis Hamilton had switched to the yellow banded soft tires, because the reds, I believe, are super soft. And so basically, by lap 55, things had reset. Hamilton was in the lead, Sebastian Vettel was in second position, so no positions were gained between the two of them. But so therefore, Lewis Hamilton would ultimately win. Sebastian Vettel tried, but he just could not quite close the gap. And then Lewis Hamilton wins in China.
Very awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty fierce, but I mean, like, it was a closer competition than we had a lot of last year that was not between the two Mercedes.
So it was at least interesting. I did see that Lewis Hamilton finished 6 seconds ahead of the Ferrari.
Yeah, that is true, but like I said, that gap was closing, but there was a vicious fight between Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo, but ultimately, oh god, who was it? One of them outbraked the other. I forget which one it was, even though I'm watching it, I should know this, but commentating is actually quite harder than it looks, I will say.
Oh yes.
But ultimately, it was a bit of a sad result, but it does not mean we're out of it. This is just 2 of 20 races. And of course, all of China was jubilant with this victory. And that was the result.
And there you see a gif of that turn.
Yes,
that
there's a gif of
amazing
it.
pass.
Now, however, something that was missed in the broadcast was apparently Max Verstappen did a magnificent save of his car. So this was lap 7. He's power. He's coming up to a hairpin corner. He goes left, but he's obviously trying to fight some oversteer. And now he's riding, but he's maybe a bit too close to, I believe this is I think this is Kimi Raikkonen up ahead, I can't remember. But his car just comes unsettled, but he takes control. Like, you can hear it ever so slightly. You can hear the tires screaming. So we're going to play again. He's going around the corner. He goes around the corner, and then the rear snaps out, but he's already counter-steering before it snaps out, and he reaffirms control. But unfortunately, he loses the man ahead. But like I said, that was a very, very good performance from Max Verstappen. Obviously, it was a good... So Christian Horner getting rid of Daniel Kvyat was the correct choice. So the final results was Lewis Hamilton won with a total time of 1:37.36.158, followed by Sebastian Vettel, who was 6 seconds behind, then Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, Kimi Raikkonen in 5th, and then Valtteri Bottas in 6th position, followed by, in 7th position, Carlos Sainz Jr. for Toro Rosso. And then in 8th position, Kevin Magnussen took some points for Haas, who was a lap down, followed by Sergio Perez, Esteban Ocon, Grosjean, Hulkenberg, Palmer, Massa, Ericsson. And then the fallen, you had Fernando Alonso, Daniel Kvyat, Stoffel Van Dorn, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Lance Stroll, who did not even get a single lap in.
Oh, man.
That was the fallen.
Man.
So, like I said, that was a very good result.
I'd say so.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let us have some audio highlights from...
let's hear.
Yes. So we begin with Fernando Alonso in Q1.
Not much to improve. I push like an animal.
Not much to improve. I push like an animal, he says. That has become a new catchphrase on the track. And then Fernando Alonso on lap 4, he says...
That drinks. I don't need drinks, you know. There is just enough concentration to keep the car on the track, you know.
Yes, he's complaining about having to focus on drinks. And Kimi Raikkonen on lap 16 had this wonderful piece to say.
What the hell is happening on exit on 12? I have no power if I don't push the K1.
So what is the K1?
That is the Kerr system, the electronic speed boost. Valtteri Bottas on lap 47, this is go 1.
So we still have potential for P4 here, Nico, as Valtteri to just keep pushing.
Oh my gosh.
They missed Nico Rosberg so much, they called Valtteri Bottas Nico. And then Lewis Hamilton's typical speech at the checkered flag.
Lewis, that was actually a great race, mate. Absolute masterclass.
Oh, well managed from you guys too, man. Thank you so much.
Typical first place winner.
Yeah.
Really worked hard for this.
Yeah.
Typical of him.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was China. So at the moment, the driver standing, Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton are currently tied for the drivers' championship. And then, of course, followed by Max Verstappen with 25 points. So it's 43 to 25. And then Valtteri Bottas for Mercedes and 23 points. Kimi Räikkönen 22. Daniel Ricciardo 12. Carlos Sainz 8. Felipe Massa 8. Sergio Perez 8. And then Kevin Magnussen has, for America, 4 points for Haas.
4 more than none.
Indeed. Followed by Daniel Kvyat and Toro Rosso with 2 points. Esteban Ocon with 2. And then all the people who have no points is Nico Hulkenberg, Grosjean, Giovinazzi, Stoffel Van Dorn, Palmer, and Ericsson. In the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes now leads 66 points, followed by Ferrari with 65. Just 1 point ahead. And then followed by Red Bull with 37 points, Toro Rosso with 12, Force India with 10, Williams, Mercedes with 8, and then Haas with 4 for America, and then Renault, Sauber, and McLaren with 0.
That's sad.
McLaren, what is going on with McLaren? I mean, this is McLaren Honda. This should be the return of the great trinity of McLaren the constructor, Honda the engine supplier, and Senna the driver. Of course, we'll never get Senna back, but still.
And yet we're they're in last.
I mean, I will say this. If the Honda factories are not drenched with blood from multiple acts of seppuku, something is not right. That's all I can say. Everybody must be gutting themselves right now. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that was China. But now we go from the land of the setting sun to the land of the land of the great scorching deserts. We go to Bahrain. I love this tune. Ladies and gentlemen, we go to Saki de Bahrain International Circuit. It held its first Grand Prix in 2004 and also hosted the world record-breaking 100-degree Fahrenheit for the 2005 Grand Prix, I believe it was. The drivers here will be doing 57 laps at night for a total race distance of 308 kilometers on the 5.4-mile track. Now, this track has a decent straight, a total of 15 corners, and quite a few elevation changes. Now, wind drafts are a problem because this place is truly on a really flat piece of this island sticking in the middle of the Persian Gulf. I mean, it's really weird. It's because you've got Saudi Arabia to the south and Iran to the north, and you're in this small piece of water, and there's this flat patch of sand. So wind is going to be a problem here. In fact, so will desert dust as well. If they get too close to each other, it could cause some serious problems through their tracks. And at the moment, the lap record is held by Pedro de la Rosa with a time of 1:31.447 from 2005. Expect that record to get smashed. That is becoming a regular theme now. In fact, now let us talk about this elevation change. The track usually resides at... Oh, they're not actually... Oh, interesting. The track actually resides 16 meters below sea level. So, obviously, this island is really a big bowl. And then, of course, the highest point goes up to 0.9 meters above sea level. So that you're looking at a really steep climb from the first corner, which is probably around where you look, if I'm interpreting this correctly, maybe 13 meters below sea level, and then it goes up to 1 meter above sea level. Well, it goes to sea level, actually, but still, it's pretty amazing what this elevation shift can do. So let us take a look at some of the highlights from last year. So let us get this thing rolling. Last year was actually a very interesting race because it was 2 years ago that they had the desert doors. No, we don't need to see this thing. Now, now let us look at some of the highlights. Now, apparently 2014, the first year here, was a very famous moment for the Mercedes team because that was where we held the legendary duel in the desert. In fact, the BBC produced a 5-minute short film.
Wow.
Where you have these two nomads out in the desert saying, "Here is where the track used to hold," he says to his son. And then they dig up the wing section from Lewis Hamilton's car saying, "This was a great, great duel in the desert."
Oh, man.
Now, this is also... Now you are ladies and gentlemen, we are about to present to you the legend Crash Tour Pastor Maldonado. It was in 2014 where the absolutely ludicrous happened. At 2014... Pastor Maldonado hit the car of Esteban Gutierrez. You missed it.
I know.
He hit the car of Esteban Gutierrez, completely flipping the poor Mexican in the Sauber. And apparently, I mean, like I said, it was absolutely magnificent. You should see this, man.
Oh, I see it. That's crazy.
Yes, and that caused the car to rotate twice over at least. And that basically caused a lot of the work to get ripped off. Ladies and gentlemen, that was one of the most magnificent pieces of art created by the man, Pastor Crash Tour Maldonado.
And he's fine.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, these cars are actually very safe. And like I said, that was Pastor Maldonado. Now, last year was won by Nico Rosberg by 10 seconds over Kimi Räikkönen because, wait, that was interesting. I believe, I think Lewis Hamilton may have had some technical problems there, or maybe we should have actually watched the recap, but too late now. So, Nico Rosberg won, followed by Kimi Räikkönen by 10 seconds, followed by Lewis Hamilton. Now, this year, we have no idea what will happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us take an onboard look at Sakir International Raceway. And so, we begin. We ride on board of Lewis Hamilton on the main straight. He's coming around on the main straight. He's about to take the first corner, and he breaks down hard down to third for a hard right-hander. And then that thing is going to feed very quickly into a left kink, and then that then gets on the power. 6th gear for a right-hand kink. He's on a brief straight. He's in 7th gear, 8th gear. And now he breaks down hard all the way down to 3rd gear for a hard right-hander, and the track bends away from him, so it might be very easy to lose control here. The track swerves just a little bit, and then feeds into a short right, and then into a quick left, and then he's got to break down hard for a hard right. Now this thing looks like it's maybe at maybe 100 degrees or so. He gets back into power again from 3rd gear up to 5th, 6th, and he steps off down to 3rd gear for a double left-hander. It's a short left hand to a really tight left hand. He gets on the power, and this is the first of the DRS zones, and then he gets up to 8th gear, but then he breaks down to 4th gear for a very quick, short, sweeping left, and that feeds into a long left, and then he gets on the power again for a fairly long right-hander, but he's on full power for that one. He breaks down to 4th gear for a right-hand kink, gets on the power. He rides, and he's now on another straight. This is not a DRS zone as far as I can remember. He goes from 7th gear down to 4th gear for a hard right-hander, and then this is the final corner. It's a slight right-hand kink, and then he's power, 7th gear, 8th gear, and he's across the line with a time of 1:29.493.
Sounds excited.
That was a good lap. That was a sexy lap.
Wait,
Sexy lap.
Lewis Hamilton just described this as a sexy lap. That is strange. And what are you working on, may I ask?
It is an animation product that is due at 7 that took much longer in this last couple hours than I thought it would be to finish.
I see.
And all of my issues are with rendering it, of all things.
Rendering?
Well, I can't seem to get the settings right.
I see. So as he works on that, ladies and gentlemen, it is now 6:26 now. So, ladies and gentlemen, this weekend is Bahrain. We will have news for you afterwards, and most likely we'll also have maybe a bit of news from the New York Auto Show. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have some sad news. This is not worthy of our stock sad music because this is actually kind of sad for me. I mean, nobody's died, so we don't have to treat this any kind of pomp and circumstance, but still quite sad. So, I decided to opt for a bagpipe dirge.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been announced that this year will be the final year of the Malaysian Grand Prix.
What? Why?
I don't know, apparently...
There's no information on why?
Well, no, there is, because apparently they decided to clear it away for the return of the French and German Grand Prix.
I mean, that sounds cool, but...
I know, but there's so much weirdness happened at this facility at Sepang International. You had magnificent rainfall. You have 2 long, magnificent straights, which are linked by a hairpin turn. In fact, these straights are so long and so fast that in 2013, I believe it was, Fernando Alonso rear-ended another driver in his Ferrari, which damaged the struts on his front wing. And then as he was on the power for the second of those main straights, he exerted so much downforce, it came off. The wing fell off. The front wing fell off, and his car perched on top, and he was surfing with sparks kicking up. It was absolutely beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, this place has given us so much wonderful laughs throughout our days. In fact, last year, there were 9 Australian Formula 1 fans who decided that to get the strip down to their underwear and to drink shoeies in honor of the victory of Mark Webber. No, not Mark Webber, sorry. It was Daniel Ricciardo. They were celebrating the win of Daniel Ricciardo, and they did it by stripping down to their underwear and drinking beer from their shoes. They were arrested by the Malaysian authorities.
That's funny.
Additionally, in 2001, it gave us a magnificent start in which the car driven by, who did Juan Pablo Montoya drive for back in 2001? I can't
couldn't
remember.
tell you.
Where his car broke down on the track, and so as all the other racers decided to go round for another warm-up lap, he ran to the pits, and they brought out the spare car, and he was racing. But it didn't take long because by lap 6 or so, no, sooner than that, by lap 3, the heavens opened. And there were cars just coming off the track everywhere. Rain was thick. Great names like Schumacher, Hakkinen, Netfield, Alisi, and Schumacher were coming off the track at the most inopportune moments. Even under yellow flag conditions, they were coming off. It was a magnificent day, I will say. Additionally, 2009 gave us this wonderful sound bit. Wait, hang on, I gotta readjust the levels on my computer here. I have to do that. We have to reduce the volume of Amazing Grace. It gave us, we have such magnificent sound bites, like this wonderful bit from 2009's Malaysian Grand Prix.
Race has been stopped.
Need a white visor, please, come on, white visor. Otherwise I cannot see anything. Felipe, baby, stay cool.
That's right, the principal of Ferrari said to Felipe Massa, "Felipe, baby, stay cool."
Oh my.
And then, of course, in no, sorry, it wasn't there. And then also at the 2009 Grand Prix, when Kimi Räikkönen, driving for Ferrari, announced that he would not be able to race because his car didn't function correctly, he went to a fridge and got himself an ice cream, prompting a remarkable reaction from Timo Glock.
To the amusement of Timo.
He says, is he getting an ice cream? As if that was somehow a big shock that the Iceman would be eating something icy. And of course it was, oh yes, and it was also the year that gave us one of Jalopnik's most ridiculous articles, an in-depth analysis of F1's most awkward / amazing podium. It was in 2013 when Sebastian Vettel was driving for Red Bull, and he overtook his teammate Mark Webber against team orders, where what happened was Mark Webber was in the lead, Sebastian Vettel was behind, but Sebastian Vettel was constantly saying, "Tell Mark to speed up, he is too slow." But then to which Christian Horner said, "Come on, Seb, this is ridiculous. Back off, we want to bring you both home." And then came the order that they should reduce the fuel mix on their engines so that they could have enough fuel to finish the race. Sebastian Vettel took this opportunity to pass Mark Webber. And so, things got weird. First of all, apparently everybody was awkward on that stage. Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber obviously had a great amount of outright hostility between the two. And then, of course, you also had a Lewis Hamilton on the podium as well in third position. And he knew that things were awkward, and so did Martin Brundle, one commentator who was doing the post-race interviews. And there was also a very strange moment where Mark Webber it looked like he was thrusting his hips as Sebastian Vettel was giving his speech.
Somebody was excited.
Yes, well, no, it was really more of a screw you, buddy, kind of thing, I believe. And I mean, as I said, it was bizarre that evening. And of course, you had the Red Bull crew, like Christian Horner, and their who's that lady with them? We should know who she is.
I couldn't tell.
I don't know who either, but apparently even they realized, oh god, this is embarrassing. They hate each other up there. And of course, even Helmut Marko, the boss of Red Bull, the actual corporation, was there realizing, oh dear, this is bad. This is really, really bad. And ladies and gentlemen, like I said, it was a memorable moment, and this place will host its final Grand Prix. So sad.
Very sad.
Anyways, we have some other news. So, ladies and gentlemen, apparently, Fernando Alonso is going to be skipping Monaco.
Why?
He's going to go to the Indy 500.
Oh, that's cool.
But still, what does that say?
Yeah, it's a little...
Yeah, I mean, Fernando Alonso has decided to not partake in the Monaco Grand Prix and say he's going to go to America to race at Indianapolis. So, it will be interesting to see what he does there. Because see if he's actually still got it, or if he just has bad luck, or if his car is just going to maybe I don't know. Maybe there's the gremlins that he has in Formula One will come with him to Indianapolis, and his car will explode on the track. Who knows? Ay, ay, ay. Additionally, apparently, we are having another debate about the head protection that has been mandated for next year. Now, at the moment, all the cars are going to have the halo next year, which looks like either a uterus or a beach thong. Yeah, so let me see if I can quickly get a picture of it. Where is it? I mean, like I said, it basically you're gonna have this giant beach thong construction in front of your face as you drive.
Oh, I see.
It has no glass on it. I mean, like, what this thing is supposed to accomplish, nobody knows. I mean,
safety, maybe.
Well, here's the thing. Like, strictly speaking, if you because like a big prompt for full enclosed cockpits, or at least more facial protection, came from the early 2000s when Felipe Massa took an errant spring to the face when he was racing. This thing is not going to protect you from an errant spring unless it hits you right in the middle. Because, again, there's no glass on it. Basically, you have this pillar in the middle, and then you will have this construct which looks like a stretched out thong. And then you have these two bands that go to the side of your head.
Well, that does seem to be pretty protective, to be honest, from anything that's coming head on to you. And the thing is, I mean, they wouldn't make it if it wasn't at least somewhat effective. I think there's engineers behind that. It's a
PR stunt. I mean, this is a PR stunt because again, when you think about what happened with Jules Bianchi 2 years ago in Suzuka, this would not have saved his life. It would have been smashed off. I mean, again, I don't think this thing has any purpose to it. So anyways, and then of course Red Bull proposed a countermeasure, which was a full actual screen with a big hole in it. So it's kind of like a speedboat almost. But what happened was that Force India had just recently promoted a new what are they calling it? A new yeah, they call it the Shield from Crash. It's been posted on Crash.net. Let's take a look at what this idea is. Oh yeah, basically they want to go for like a full piece of glass, which is, like a full covering like that. I think is preferable because it actually looks like it could actually protect you.
That does look decent.
Exactly.
Yeah, this looks kind of weird.
Yeah. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we still await word because apparently we're still not sure as to what the actual situation will be with this ridiculous thing. Though, honestly, I think they should just enclose the cockpits already. Maybe put, like, explosive bolts on it and an ejector seat. That would, I think, would be amazing.
Oh, yes.
Other news. Bernie Eccleston may buy the track in Brazil.
Really? Why? Why?
Out of his own love. Because apparently Brazil is having some huge economic problems. So that means, and I believe that the track at Interlagos in Sao Paulo is probably has some state funds on it, which are probably going to get cut. So this is from Jalopnik on Black Flag, according to Steph Schrader. Bernie Eccleston, the one-time troll king of Formula One, who's been relegated to an emeritus role within the sport where he can't do much, is expected to put a bid to purchase Brazil's beloved Interlagos circuit, according to motorsports.com. The city of Sao Paulo plans to sell the track amid a national financial crisis that has stretched public funds thin. Eccleston recently met with Sao Paulo Mayor João Doria and Brazilian Grand Prix promoter Thomas Rohani to discuss a potential bid to buy the circuit, which has a contract to host Formula One through 2020, per motorsport.com. While upgrades to the track and its facilities haven't gone as planned for obvious financial reasons, Doria would like to see their contract extend through 2030 somehow. And, yeah. Oh, and also, another key detail, Bernie Eccleston's wife, Fabiana Flossi, is also from Brazil, so maybe that may also have something to do with it.
I think it definitely has something to do with it.
And just so you all remember, Fabiani Flossi is, where are we? Oh, there was a case where they kidnapped, where his mother-in-law was kidnapped, but...
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Ladies and gentlemen, just so you know how old Bernie Eccleston is, let's just say that his mother-in-law is younger than he is. He's, like, approaching 90 or something, and, his wife is significantly younger. Let's just put it like that.
Oh yeah.
Yes, but yet his hair is still magnificent.
That's for sure.
Well, it's like a big white mop, but yeah. All right, so that is it for Formula One news. Now, this has been a weird weekend.
What is that?
This has been a weird weekend. This has been a very crash-heavy weekend in other forms of racing. It was the weather. It was the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship in Long Beach, California, which is a street race. And apparently, one of the corners is so tight that on at least 2 occasions, traffic ground to a halt because these cars had because these racing cars have a really, really bad turning radius. So we have an ad for uno.edu. Come on, yes, skip it. We don't need to see an ad. So you had the 2 Corvettes, followed by the Ford GT. They were coming along, and then you had some other prototypes on track as well. This is the final lap, ladies and gentlemen. The final lap of this race. So you have, it's a multi-car racing series. A multi-class racing series. Prototype goes down the corner, followed by a Porsche. And this is a final tight hairpin. I mean, I hate this track in Forza. I will just say that. And we are waiting for when things get weird. Where are we? Ah, yes. The Corvettes are right duking it out. It's a really tight train. We have the 2 Corvettes followed by the Ford GT. And a Lamborghini stops on the track. And wait, it looks like there's a prototype. And everything just grinds to a halt. The Corvette is trying to cut on the outside of what is essentially standstill traffic. And, oh, this is just bad. Basically, 3 cars are up against the wall. They cannot reverse because there's a prototype trying to back up. It's an absolute standstill. There was no crash. It's just
Oh, so there was no crash.
There was no crash. Basically, they just and oh, like I said, this is ridiculous. And then of course the Corvette basically lost out because it tried to pass along the outside, realizing that there were cars stuck in the wall.
And which track is this?
This is
very
Long
tight.
Beach. This is Long Beach. It's a street race. Yeah, this was a strange event. And there was another instance where this exact thing happened earlier as well. And this time it was the Ford and several prototypes. Like, this happened twice where cars just did not have the right turning radius and they all just got stuck. Additionally, we have the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship at Simons Plains Raceway, which underwent a huge 12-car pileup, which red flagged the race. And apparently they had to delay it by a day. So yes, we listened to that Australian thunder. We should probably have some Men at Work playing. And it was a wet track from the looks of it. I mean, yeah, the sky's clear, but it was wet. One of the cars spun out, and it's a narrow track, no escape lanes, and they just piled in on top of each other. Like, these are big, burly sports sedans. And again, I
like sports sedans.
They just piled in on each other in a very, very extreme way. And like I said, they just completely blocked off. And
what country is this?
This is Australia.
That's what I thought. They're the ones that are known for their sports sedans.
Exactly. And I should also remind you, we bought this up last year, but at the Bathurst 500, which is the big race, they have a rule: 1 keg of beer, a limit of one case of beer per man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
then, you're gonna be there for a while.
Yeah. And then finally, in the Blancpain Sprint Series, which is GT racing in Europe, they had a night race. We don't quite have footage of it, but basically
I see a spin out, and
a spin out, which prompted a multi-car collision. You know, like, there's debris flying all over the place, and we just can't see it. Like, there's no lighting on the track
and
except for the
you can't
headlights.
tell for anything.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, it was a strange weekend for racing last weekend. So
absolutely.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is all of our racing news. And it is 6:42. We can probably troll the air for a bit longer.
Oh yeah.
Well, I played with a Canon XF.
What is that?
It is a big camcorder, like a real high-grade one. I believe it's the XF300. I'm going to quickly...
Oh, you showed me a picture of this machine.
Yes. In fact, it's for a project.
It's beautiful.
A project I'm doing in film and TV class. Like I said, I got it up. I loved it. I'm in love with it. So I decided when I return next semester to fulfill my film minor, that is the camera I'm going to pick. I will always pick that one. Forever and ever. Always and never. Anyway, so what else is happening in the world?
Well, we have... Ooh, there's a Lazy Boy stick on the back of my trunk.
Why do you have a...
I gotta bring it home.
Oh, I see.
I'll be going home tonight.
Yeah. And what else is there? Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, it's the New York Auto Show this weekend. It starts Friday and goes on for an entire week. So if you ever want to go to New York City over Easter break, go right ahead. It should be very exciting. We will see... hopefully I'll be able to sit in the new Fiat, so that is going to be great. Yes. I guess that... Well, we have 2 minutes at least to kill. God, what else did I want to talk about? Oh, okay, Well, I did a very successful sitcom project, I think, for TV Basic Ops. And... Yeah. Well, I guess that's really it, because it's 4:43. We basically managed to fill time pretty well, I think. So, ladies and gentlemen, I guess that will be it, because Alex Reardon is busy at work. So, if you wouldn't mind leaving us at the mercy of the Radio DJ software.
No problem. DeSales, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm sorry I could not be present for your show today. I love you all, and have a good night at 101.7 WDSR.
Bye-bye. Don't forget, you gotta bring the software up. Oh, now the tea kettle has finally actually aligned correctly.
And here we are for tea time in Formula 1.
Well, you missed it, but...
Good night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Wasted, I'm losing my mind too soon.